Welcome to Edulution 2.0. Edulution was originally created as an answer to the COVID-19 pandemic, when the world went remote and students lost their opportunity to be in the classroom. To help prevent students from falling behind, Edulution filled the gap for those who didn't have Wi-Fi or technology. Edulution has supported the community for over 2 years, filling the educational divide through equity and access, ensuring that all students have a fair chance to learn and succeed in life. Our host is Ms. Pia Rosa, a Bronx-born and raised educator with a heart for her community. Let's start the show.
Hello, I'm your host, Pia Rosa, and this is another episode of Bronx Edulution. Are you ready to have fun learning together today? I sure am.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for part 3 of a 4-part series for navigating the special education process for preschoolers. This series will include the evaluation process. The evaluation process can begin by contacting an approved New York City Department of Education evaluation site. The list of approved agencies are in the preschool package. There is no cost to the families to begin the process. Once you do receive the package, the evaluation agency will schedule a meeting with you to conduct the evaluation process and explain your due process right. At that time, they will obtain written consent to evaluate your child and notify the Committee of Preschool Special Education that they have contained your consent. Once consent is obtained, they will conduct the appropriate evaluations. Most evaluation sites are private agencies, although New York City Department of Education Committee on Special Education offices do have evaluators. When choosing to evaluate your child, you should ask how quickly the evaluations can be conducted so that they are completed in a timely fashion. Bilingual evaluations can be conducted in both English and the child's home language. This is determined by the home language survey that will be given by the agency. Agencies that offer bilingual evaluations are identified in the package next to the agency name. The specific language will be listed. If you have any trouble, you can always contact your CPSE to help you find an agency. You must provide your informed consent to evaluate in writing before the evaluation can begin. This will be in your home language or English. Your consent is voluntary and can be revoked at any time. If you do not consent to the evaluation, the special education evaluations cannot begin and your case will be closed. No further action will be taken. This is a voluntary process. Consent to evaluations does not mean consent to special education services. You have the right to have your child evaluated and to accept or deny special education service if determined appropriate. You have the right to end the evaluation process at any time by writing to the CPSE that you wish to revoke your consent. Once you choose to stop the evaluations, your CPSE case will be closed automatically. When providing your consent to continue, the CPSE meeting will be held within 60 calendar dates from the time you sign consent. The initial evaluation will include a comprehensive psychological evaluation that reviews what your child knows and his or her cognitive ability. A social history interview with the parent and or guardian, which discusses the background of your child's development, family history, often from birth to present. A physical examination, which is completed by your child's doctor, an observation of your child in his or her current setting or child care location, and other appropriate assessments determined necessary. The evaluation site will complete the evaluations and send a copy of the reports to you and the CPSC administrator assigned to your case. A meeting will be scheduled with you within 60 calendar days to review the evaluations. Previous evaluations done by private sectors may be submitted to your CPS administrator to help determine outcome. Thank you for joining us, and next month's series will be the CPSC meeting.
We are heading back to you with some fun activities. Don't forget to download the BronxNet app to your device. This way you can watch Edulution from anywhere.
Hello, and welcome to another episode on BronxNet. Today's episode will be about natural disasters. How can learning about natural disasters make us safer? That's our essential question. Lesson objective. In this lesson, we will learn about two natural disasters, earthquakes and tsunamis. We will learn about them and what are some tips that can help when a natural disaster occurs. Let's look at some vocabulary words. Notable. If something is notable, it is worth noticing. Spontaneous. Spontaneous action is one that happens naturally and isn't planned. Tremor. A tremor is a small earthquake or uncontrolled shaking in a body part. Hazard. A hazard is a danger. So we are going to look at what are earthquakes. What is an earthquake? Earthquakes are the shaking, rolling, or sudden shock of the Earth's surface. They are the Earth's natural means of releasing stress. More than 1 million earthquakes rattle the world each year. The West Coast is most at risk of having an earthquake, but earthquakes can happen in the Midwest and along the East Coast. Earthquakes can be felt over large areas, although they usually last less than 1 minute. Earthquakes cannot be predicted, although scientists are working on it. What causes an earthquake? There are about 20 plates along the surface of the Earth that move continuously and slowly past each other. When the plates squeeze or stretch, huge rocks form at their edges and the rocks shift with great force, causing an earthquake. Think of it this way. Imagine holding a pencil horizontally. If you were to apply a force to both ends of the pencil by pushing down on them, you would see the pencil bend. After enough force was applied, the pencil would break in the middle, releasing the stress you have put on it. The Earth's crust acts in the same way. As the plates move, they put forces on themselves and each other. When the force is large enough, the crust is forced to break. When the break occurs, the stress is released as energy, which moves through the Earth in the form of waves, which we feel and call an earthquake. Now here we have the crust, top layer, mantle, and then we have the liquid and solid core that makes up the Earth. What is a fault? A fault is an area of stress in the Earth where broken rocks slide past each other, causing a crack in the Earth's surface. There are the major types of faults: dip, slip, normal, dip, slip, reverse, and strike, slip, and opaque, slip. What are plate tectonics? The theory of plate tectonics is a interesting story of continents drifting from place to place, breaking apart, colliding and grinding against each other. The plate tectonic theory is supported by a wide range of evidence that considers the Earth's crust and upper mantle to be composed of several large, thin, relatively ridged plates that move relative to one another. Sleep plate tectonic graph above. The plates are all moving in different directions and at different speeds. Sometimes the plates crash together, pull apart, or side swipe each other. When this happens, it commonly results in earthquakes. Let's watch a video about earthquakes.
What is an earthquake? An earthquake takes place when two blocks of the earth suddenly slip past one another. The surface where the slip is called a fault place. The location below the Earth's surface where the earthquake starts is called the hypocenter, and the location directly above it on the surface of the Earth is called the epicenter. Sometimes an earthquake has foreshocks. These are smaller earthquakes that happen in the same place before a large earthquake takes place. The largest main earthquake is called the main shock. Main shocks are always followed by aftershocks that occur in the same place and can continue for weeks, months, and even years. What causes earthquakes and where do they happen? The earth has four major layers: the inner core, outer core, mantle, and crust. The crust and the top of the mantle make up a thin skin on the surface of our planet. But this skin is not all in one piece. It is made up of many pieces covering the surface of the earth. These pieces are called tectonic plates, and the edges of the plates are called the plate boundaries. These pieces keep moving around slowly, sliding past one another and bumping into each other. These plate boundaries are made up of many faults, and most earthquakes around the world occur on these faults. Why does the earth shake when there is an earthquake? While the edges of the faults are stuck together and the rest of the block is moving, the energy that would normally cause the blocks to slide past one another is being accumulated. When the force of the moving blocks finally overcomes the friction of the jagged edges of the fault, it breaks free, and all that stored up energy is released. The seismic waves shake the earth as they move through it, and when the waves reach the earth's surface, they shake the ground and anything on it, like our houses and us. The energy radiates outward from the fault in all directions in the form of seismic waves like ripples in a pond. How are earthquakes recorded? Earthquakes are recorded by instruments called seismographs. The recording they make is called a seismogram. The seismograph has a base that sets firmly on the ground and a heavy weight that hangs free. When an earthquake causes the ground to shake, the base of the seismogram shakes too, but the hanging weight does not. Instead, the spring that is hanging absorbs all the movement. The difference in position between the shaking part of the seismograph and the motionless part is what is recorded.
So, as we can see about earthquakes, there are so many earthquakes that happen everywhere on the earth. So what we can do in order to protect ourselves is we could think of these earth safety tips. And before an earthquake, have a disaster plan. Choose a safe place in every room. It is best to get under a sturdy piece of furniture like a table or a desk where nothing can fall on you. Practice drop, cover, and hold on. Drop under something sturdy, hold on, and protect your eyes by pressing your face against your arm. If you live in an earthquake-prone area, bolt tall furniture to the wall and install strong latches to cupboards. Prepare a first aid kit for your home. By taking special precautions and checking for hazards before a disaster strikes, you'll be much more likely to stay safe. During an earthquake, drop, cover, and hold on. Stay indoors until the shaking stops. Stay away from windows. If you're in bed, hold on and stay there. protecting your head with a pillow. If you're outdoors, find a clear spot away from buildings, trees, and power lines. Then drop to the ground. If you're in a car, slow down and drive to a safe place. Stay in the car until the shaking stops. After the shaking stops, check for injuries. Inspect your home for damage. Eliminate fire hazards. So turn off the gas if you think it's leaking. Expect aftershocks. Each time you feel one, drop, cover, and hold on. Aftershocks are also little mini tremors and little earthquakes that we feel that continue. Also, boys and girls, earthquakes are more so often in other areas. Yes, we don't have them in the Bronx, but it's good to learn more about them. And these are also great ways to be safe. Now, tsunamis. Looking at the second natural disaster, we are going to learn about tsunamis. What is a tsunami? A tsunami is a large ocean wave usually caused by an underwater earthquake or a volcanic explosion. Tsunamis are not tidal waves. Tidal waves are caused by the forces of moon, sun, and planets upon the tides, as well as the wind as it moves over the water. With typical waves, water flows in circles. But with a tsunami, water flows straight. This is why tsunamis cause so much damage. So we're going to look at this diagram. Wind waves come and go without flooding higher areas. So you see the water flows in a circle up to the land. And tsunamis run quickly over the land as a wall of water. So water flows straight. What does the word tsunami mean? Tsunami, and here's the pronunciation, tsunami, is a Japanese word meaning harbor wave. How are tsunamis generated? Tsunamis are generated by any large impulsive displacement of the sea level. The most common cause of a tsunami is seafloor uplift associated with an earthquake. Tsunamis are also triggered by landslides into or under the water surface and can be generated by volcanic activity and meteorite impacts. So as we just heard, there could be a tsunami that's at the seafloor that uplifts, as well as like an earthquake underwater or even a volcanic activity. How often do tsunamis occur? On the average, 2 tsunamis occur per year throughout the world, which inflict damage near the source. Approximately every 15 years, a destructive ocean-wide tsunami occurs. How fast do tsunamis travel? Tsunami velocity depends on the depth of water through which it travels. Velocity equals the square root of the product of the water depth times the acceleration of gravity. Tsunamis travel approximately 475 miles per hour in 15,000 feet of water. In 100 feet of water, the velocity drops to about 40 miles per hour. Wow, that's pretty fast. Now let's watch a video about tsunamis to learn more.
What is a tsunami? Tsunami is a Japanese word meaning harbor, sea, and wave, nami. Animals can sense a tsunami approaching because of their superior sense of hearing. People who have survived tsunamis say that it sounds like standing near a moving freight train. There are tsunami warning systems attached to buoys in the ocean that transmit data about the ocean and serve as a warning system. If the water along a shoreline begins to recede dramatically, it most likely means that a tsunami will follow in a few seconds or minutes. A tsunami is not just one wave, but a series of waves or a wave train. Did you know? When tsunamis are near the coast, they slow down but increase in height. Tsunamis used to be referred to as tidal waves but aren't anymore because they have nothing to do with the tides. Some tsunamis may not appear on shore as a huge wave but as a quickly surging tide.
Very interesting. So what can we do when a tsunami occurs? Plan for a tsunami. Have a disaster plan. Know whether you're at risk for danger. Plan an evacuation route. Prepare a disaster supplies kit for home and car. Include a first aid kit, canned food, and a can opener, bottled water, battery operated radio, flashlight, protective clothing, and written instructions on how to turn off electricity, gas, and water during a tsunami. Follow the instructions issued by the local authorities. You will probably want to evacuate immediately. Get out to higher ground as far inland as you can. After a tsunami, help injured or trapped people. Stay out of a building if water remains around it. Tsunami waters can cause buildings to sink, floors to crack, or walls to collapse. When re-entering homes, use extreme caution. Check for gas leaks, open windows and doors to help dry things out. Look for fire hazards. So as well as we just spoke, we are not we are not in a position where we get tsunamis, but it's always good to learn more about these natural disasters. Now, boys and girls, you could do this at home or with any items that you have at home that you can create a tsunami simulator. These are the supplies that you can use. You can use a large pan, scissors, old beach ball or rubber playground ball, duct tape, water if you're allowed. Remember, boys and girls, this is up to your parents if it's okay. Ask someone for help to hold the tsunami ocean. You would get a pan, aluminum pan. You would cut the beach or playground so that you have one large flat piece of plastic or rubber. Turn the pan over using duct tape. Secure the piece of ball to the bottom of the pan, stretching it to cover the hole completely. You need to make sure you don't have any openings or your ocean will leak. Place duct tape around the entire seam between the ball and the pan. Turn the pan right side up to cut ball in is on the bottom of the pan. Pour water into the pan. You don't want to fill it all the way up or it will be too heavy and too wiggly to pick up. Pour in just enough water so your helper can hold the pan with two hands easily. With your helper holding the tsunami pan above the ground, reach underneath with your fist. Position your fist at one end of the bottom of the pan, not in the middle or on the side. When you're both ready, gently punch the bottom of the pan. So like that. You'll make a wave on one end of the pan that will make the other side of your ocean. The harder you punch it, making a larger earthquake, the stronger your tsunami will be. Experience with different hits, taps, or punches and see if there's a difference in the way the wave hits the shore or the edge of the pan. This shows you how a tsunami can start in an earthquake because of the water pushing up from underneath and then travel to land very quickly. So you can try different taps to see how far your tsunami will push the water as well as the movement it makes and how strong the current is. So you can try that only if you're allowed. Remember, boys and girls, you have to get permission in order to do these things. And I've also provided you with make your own shake table. And here are the items you can use: cardboard, ball, large rubber bands, cover it with sand or dirt or rocks. You can build your own blocks on top of it. And then here, place the balls between the pieces of cardboard. Use the rubber bands to hold the piece of cardboard together tightly. If your rubber bands can't stretch all the way around, make a chain by looping several rubber bands together. So like this. So you could do it 2 here and 2 here. Put your shake table on a sturdy surface if you're using ground cover. Put that on the top board now. Begin building. Use your building materials to create a structure a foot high or more. So like this, you can use your blocks or any other items you have at home. When you are done building, you have a helper hold the bottom board steady while you gently pull or push on the top board. Let go and see what happens to your buildings. Experiment with different shapes and sizes of buildings. What worked and what didn't. Try to make improvements until you can create a building that withstands your earthquake. You might try creating cross beams with popsicle sticks or a square structure to make it sturdier. Or maybe you can provide support inside a clay building. Are your buildings sturdy on one type of ground cover than another? Think about how structures in different areas of the world would be built based on the likelihood of having an earthquake. So you can even think of like yourself and what architects do when they come up with their architecture and they say to themselves, well, I have to build a building that will withstand earthquakes. So thank you for watching, and check out the next episode on the BronxNet to see another 2 natural disasters.
Thank you for tuning into another learning experience with Bronx Edulution. I had a great time with you today. See you next time.
The Bronx Edulution. We are Bronx Strong.